England did us a favour this morning and beat India, so we've got to play India and England, who haven't been beaten yet, and we've probably got to win, at least beat India.
This is international test rugby. It's not tiddlywinks, as Tana Umaga once so famously said. When you play for your country, you play to win.
The schedule comes out and it's like, what an exciting summer ahead. We've got Australia, we've got England, but it's in October.
DSPN, the Devlin Sports Podcast Network.
DSPN people, welcome to another episode. Martin Devlin here. Today, what are we talking about? Shortly, John Day's going to join me. The tight five. Kiwis versus Samoa yesterday. What a game of sport that was. Did you watch it? Absolutely brilliant it was. Perfect day in Auckland for a game of code. And man, did those two teams go at it. And how weird was it seeing a New Zealand team running out and getting booed. The whole crowd was red and blue flags for Toa Samoa. Kiwis getting the win there. We'll also be talking about the Silver Ferns, who got belted on Friday night. Where to now for this team? It is all just going so wrong for Netball New Zealand. As well as that Hayden Wilde. 5 in a row for Hayden Wilde. Just incredible. I mean, it wasn't that long ago. He was lying in a hospital bed after just a terrible crash. He's come back from injury, and he's won 5 in a row, the T100 series. As well as that, we'll talk about the NPC, the All South Island final, and cricket. Rain stops play, both here and for the White Ferns, who are trying to make the semi-finals of the One Day World Cup. All of that to come. Keep the comments coming as well, people. And if you're enjoying us across Rover, Spotify Video, Apple Podcasts, welcome. If you're watching on the DSPN YouTube channel, click the subscribe button. I always mention that. We start the show the same way every day. The All Blacks going to South Africa. What's all that about?
Marty sermons brought to you by WebWonks. Generate online leads with WebWonks. Doctors for your Google data.
We live in an amazing, amazing world, and it's wasted on the crappiest generation of just spoiled idiots.
Question: why are the All Blacks going to South Africa? Answer: to win. It is that obvious, isn't it? It is for me. I've read a lot of feedback since the rivalry tour was announced last week. Feedback from all over the shop. And there seems to be a bit of confusion amongst some out there as to the point of this exercise. Yes, it's to re-establish these old school tours, which we loved as fans from decades ago. The other bit of it for the All Blacks is to win the series. That's why we're going. Make no mistake, that is the only mission statement for our team. Well, let's talk about development and experimentation. Come on. Not everything is about an event that doesn't kick off till more than a year after this tour ends. Let's be clear about that. The Rugby World Cup in Australia starts in October 2027. That's 2 years away. There's still plenty of time and many, many games after next year's South African tour to blood new players, to test combinations, to achieve this magical 3 or 4 players in every position and possible dream that Scott Robertson and Rassie Erasmus tell us they're trying to do. Look, it's kind of true, but think about it. The reality of it, let's look at first fives, for example. Do you honestly think that both us and South Africa are going to find 4 world-class first fives all capable of winning a World Cup in the next couple of years? 4 guys each in the Pollard class: Dan Carter, Johnny Wilkinson, Stephen Larkham, or maybe I've just mentioned quite probably the greatest 4 number 10s to ever play international rugby, and no disrespect to Grant Fox and many, many others who've worn that jersey. 4 players from South Africa of that class. New Zealand has another 4, all at that level. That's not reality. You'll get 1 guy that's world class, maybe 2, and then you'll have somebody that's a bit below that, and then somebody that's a bit below that. Stephen Donald, when he came on in 2011, wasn't in Dan Carter's class, was he? But he did the job. So for me, it's part smokescreen put up by these guys to soften the blow of possible defeat. It's kind of achievable, but part of it also is to massage and manage expectations of us fans as they do experiment, and they do have losses. This is international test rugby. It's not tiddlywinks, as Tana Umaga once so famously said. When you play for your country, you play to win. You don't play to experiment. Not in this series anyway. This is about history, bragging rights, mental dominance, ego. We will take a minimum of 45 players on tour next year. In fact, we might even take more, maybe as high as 55. It sounds ridiculous. But 4 tests, 4 games versus URC. It'll almost be like 2 separate tours, like 1996 was, the midweek side and the weekend side. Obviously, you're going to have some crossover because you're going to have to get your test players up to that standard. But there's 3 games before the first test, so some guys will play. They won't play all 3 of those games. The goal of the midweek side, the Dirt Trackers, is to make the first team squad and then to get to call all their old mates Dirt Trackers, if you know what I mean. There's plenty of time to experiment with those midweek matches, and there's no way the same 15 is going to start for the All Blacks versus the Springboks on 4 consecutive weekends. which is what the test match schedule is. Same again as 96. It was 2 separate squads almost. So let's put all that perspective on it, please. The World Cup is a full 2 years away. Yes, it's important, but you don't win it before it's played. What is at least, if not in my mind anyway, and I'm sure the All Black coaches as well, at least as important is gaining everything you get from winning these massive matches before it's played, before the World Cup is actually played. We're the All Blacks. The reason we're going there is to win this series because we're the All Blacks. And the reason we go anywhere is to win. Tide 5 time.
The Tide 5.
5 separate sporting topics. Roughly about a minute, 90 seconds, 2 minutes on each. And when this guy yells, yes! On to the next one we go. Lachlan Ward's still on holiday. John Day joins me in the studio to do this. We're going to be talking Kiwis versus Samoa. What a game that was yesterday. Silver Ferns. Next game Wednesday. But that was a toweling on Friday night. Cricket and rain stops play, meaning that the White Ferns have got a hell of a job to try and make the semi-finals now at the ODI Women's World Cup. And men's cricket in October in New Zealand. Well, this is working, isn't it? Only 2 washouts in 4 days. Hayden Wild. That's 5 in a row for Hayden Wild. Just an extraordinary performance. I hope he's getting the props that he deserves. And the NPC is an All South Island final. All right, JD. Let's go first with Kiwis versus Samoa. And just that game last night had everything in a game of sport that I absolutely love. It was end-to-end. It was physical. The scoreline changed 3 or 4 times. They could have got a result right up in the final minute. And then the crowd. How often does a New Zealand team run out at home and they get booed?
Yeah, it was all blue and red at Mount Smart, wasn't it? Samoa, Tonga started this. You know, when they started to get a few players switch allegiances, now Samoa's fallen suit, made a World Cup final and almost beat us. Probably should have if they'd caught the ball a couple of times late in that game. Just the middle of that game was intense and just reminds me of how soft I was during my career playing rugby union. Wouldn't go near any of those fellas. They were huge, man. Like Payne Haas and all his mates up against our boys. Joey Tarpanang, I thought at lock was sensational. So that battle in the middle was just intense and awesome and everything you want about International Rugby League, wasn't it?
Yeah, a couple of things about that. Look, running out and just seeing a sea of blue and red flags for a start. This started in New Zealand at the 2011 Rugby World Cup when Tonga and Tongan fans blocked the airport there. Yeah. But just the two haka. Like I was sitting there looking at those and thinking, wow, imagine seeing those in 1830. Mate, I would have just turned and scupped straight back to the boat.
For sure. It's like they're not stopping coming forward. Yeah, What's going to happen here?
Yeah.
But then instead of getting all aggro, I think there was like a handshake and a hug at the end of it.
Yeah. I mean, look, to me, it makes me, I don't know how to put this right, but it just makes me so proud to live in this part of the world.
Yeah.
When I see that, I just think, this is the Pacific, and we're part of this. You know, this is what we are as Kiwis. You know, this is where we live, and this is our hood kind of thing.
And another heartwarming performance I thought was Dylan Brown, a guy who signed from Parramatta to go to Newcastle. $13 million for 10 years, and instantly, as soon as you do that, the Australian media jumps on you. Every single performance is just analysed to death. Are you worth over $1 million a year? Well, he was to the Kiwis yesterday. You know, Kieran Foran came in with an SOS and just did his thing, did the bare minimum, got us round the park. But I thought Dylan Brown, his running game was just sensational.
Right at the end there, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. That's one of the smallest men on the park, catching a bomb and getting us the match winner.
But, you know, as you say, Mariner dropped one on his chest. Brian Torwell, I've never seen drop a pass.
No.
I don't think I've ever seen that guy drop a pass.
No.
And the winger, who I can't remember his name for the life of me now, who put his foot into touch. He came back and he scored one, but he put his foot into touch.
You don't see wingers doing that either. So 3 things went the Kiwis' way. A win's a win. We march on, hopefully, into the final.
Yes! Silver Ferns, though, just got a toweling against Australia. And, you know, this is the worst thing that could happen to that team. They were in it for 3 quarters. They were really, really competitive. I think it was 69-52, which is a thrashing in netball. And now it brings up everything about the players, the camp, the culture that's going on, and their culture, for want of a better word. You know, who are these players who complained? You know, you've got some players that want Noeline Taurua back in charge. How divided is that camp? I don't know the answers to any of these questions, but these are the things you're going to ask after getting beaten like that. We've got a game on Wednesday, but this is a team that Noeline Taurua took to beat Australia last year in the Constellation Cup.
3-1, and we won the first 3, and they won the dead rubber. So it was a dominant, and they were all by double-digit victories last year. And the 2 things that I saw went missing in that first test, mental toughness and fitness. What are two things that Dame Nolene does best?
Mental
Those two
toughness
things.
and fitness.
And they were missing. And so I think that says it all. When you lose the fight, was it 24-11 in the final quarter or something like that? It's just they faded and they had no mental strength to bring themselves back. And the coach, I like Yvette McCausland-Jury, but she didn't make any changes. Just sat there on her hands and we got towed up, like you mentioned. Martina Salmon, I thought, was great at goal attack. She's an Aussie, by the way, brought up in Brisbane. She played really well, but are they allowed to sit in the room and look each other in the eyes and tell each other home truths?
Well,
or are they not allowed to do that?
No,
because
clearly
they
not.
need to before Test 2.
And also, if this happens and somebody says something and you take offence at that, that's all that is, and you sort it out. Then the moment that you've all of a sudden gone to the Players Association and got HR involved, it's over.
Yeah.
It's just a big spew soup from that moment on, because these people have nothing to do all day apart from be bothersome and get involved in disputes, and they love it. The kind of I've been involved in a number of these in my life, employment-wise, and I wish I hadn't. But I always found that those people are just, it's kind of like you've switched a light on in their lives. You know, they love the admin, they love the conflict, they love the fact that, and this should not be happening in this sports team. It just should not be happening. And the way that Netball New Zealand have handled it is the worst I think I've seen of any sports administration. And we've gone through real administrative cock-ups. The Cycling New Zealand one springs to mind.
Yep.
Where the CEO, remember, just did a runner. Yeah. He just went on mental... Just gone, vanished. He still hasn't been found since. And that was the second of theirs. You know, canoeing's had it. Women's cricket's had it. Hockey's had it. Football, they asked Danny Hay out of there because one guy complained. Yeah. You know, about he was being treated too tough at training.
So they want these high performance, environments, but yet they don't want to be honest and, accountable to each other. And you can hide behind anonymous complaints and get rid of people.
Look, high performance involves, and our industry has it to a certain extent, because we're ratings based, and you're always working, and if you don't get the numbers, well then there are all kinds of questions, and it is a motive, and people go up and down in that, and there are, as you say, words exchanged, and there are flare-ups at times and things, but these are all things that should be handled and should be able to be handled. Yep. And people should understand that just because something gets said to you doesn't mean the person hates you, and doesn't mean that your life falls apart at that time.
Yep.
And so, look, and we're just presupposing everything because we don't know. And this is part of Netball's problem. You're not telling us anything.
Transparency is key these days. Tell the truth, even if
just
it's hard.
Tell the truth, yeah.
We can all handle it,
That's
right?
it.
Can't we?
Well,
maybe we can't.
Well, no, Jack Nicholson reckoned we couldn't, but and a few good men. But I think we can. We can handle the truth. And if the truth hurts, well, the truth hurts a little bit, and then you pick yourself up and you get on with it.
Yeah, it's based on stats. It's not based on personality, the truth often, is it?
I always I made this point last week, and I'll make it again. I don't think there's a person in the world who genuinely thinks Nolene Taurua is not approachable, or is such a harder she has no empathy or personal feelings. I mean, everything about her and everything I've ever met and known and talked to her, everyone that I know that talks about her, this is who she is. Mm-hmm. If there was some conflict going on, she would be horrified by it and she would want to fix it. That's the kind of person that she is.
Yeah. So when's this going to end?
This ends when we lose 4-0 to Australia, get thrashed 4 times. That's when this ends. Because somebody at that stage has got to go. Yes! Cricket and rain stops play. I was laughing on Saturday night because I was starting to watch. I tried to watch them both, and in the end, I just switched off the cricket and I just concentrated and I just watched the NPC. And when the rain came, I just thought, here we go again. It happened, obviously, against Australia, Chapel Hadley. We lost one. I think it rained in the other one. This is October in New Zealand, people.
Yeah, the schedule comes out and it's like, what an exciting summer ahead. We've got Australia, we've got England. But it's in October. And so as soon as you read that as a New Zealand cricket fan, you're like, great. Yeah, awesome. It's going to rain on our parade. Not only do we not really care about T20s, a raining T20 as well. It's just like, I was like, don't even care. And I was with a bunch of cricket fans. We were up playing golf way up in Northland. And just all of us were just like, we're not hanging in for this. We don't even care about T20.
No, and as soon as it reduces down, it's 7 overs. It's great.
Yeah. Like that's a contest. Yeah. That's worth remembering.
But the White Ferns must be gutted because in their ODI World Cup, this is twice now. I think it was Sri Lanka and Pakistan that they've been rained out. So they split a point. Those 2 games are 2 games that I would expect us to win those 2 games.
Yeah, it's a similar narrative because Sri Lanka at this time of year, apparently it just rains at night time, so they've got night games. And Sophie Devine was like, why aren't we playing in the day?
Yeah, good
Everyone
point.
knows the weather forecast, but if it doesn't work for TV, it doesn't work. So here we are. I think we're level with India. England did us a favour this morning and beat India, so we've got to play India and England, who haven't been beaten yet, and we've probably got to win, at least beat India.
Got to beat India.
And then because they've got Bangladesh. So
and
they're
they've
going to
also
win
got a
one
much
more.
superior run rate at the moment.
So we pretty much have to win 2 to hopefully sneak into the semi-finals here. And just with Sophie Devine's the only one really doing anything, I'd like Mealy Kerr to turn up in this tournament. She was so good when we won that T20 World Cup.
She was the best player in the world at that
exactly,
time, wasn't she?
but just with her leg spin at the moment, can't take any wickets, and quite a lot of the batters can't buy any runs. So if someone would come to the party with Sophie, we're a chance because they're a talented bunch.
Yeah, well, they proved
just not
it last
often
year.
enough. Yeah.
Hayden Wild, 5 in a row. And I was watching this on the week. I watched it. I didn't know that he was actually racing, and stupid me. But as soon as I switched it on and I saw him there, I stayed and I watched that race. Mostly because of every time he races now, all I think of is that crash, what he went through,
Nasty.
what he broke, and then the fact he didn't just come back. He trained his way back through that, and he's not just competing again. He's winning.
He's dominating. He's unbeatable.
He's won 5 in a row.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the greatest New Zealand sporting performance probably in the last couple of years by any athlete.
And he's a dude. Like, man, he's running down the end of that race and just talking to the TV camera with his bucket hat on. He looks like a dude who's been at a festival for a couple of days just running his way home. It's like, mate, just nothing seems to worry him.
No.
Seems like such a cool customer. Alex Yee wasn't in that race, though, was he? His great rival from the Olympics. So I'd like to see those two go toe-to-toe at the moment, especially. And, man, the build-up to the next Olympics, when those guys go for it, it will be awesome. But he's just a fun, cool Kiwi guy who gets it done, and I just loved everything about it at the weekend.
Well said. Finally, NPC. Well, it's an All South Island final, and I was, we're chatting on Friday about this.
You sort of half called it, didn't you? You said it was either going to be Battle of the Bays in the final or the South Island Derby.
That's what I was hoping. I was hoping because I just think that the narrative this week is going to be, if it was Bay of Plenty versus Hawke's Bay, great narrative, and you build up to that, especially with the history of the Ranfurly Shield Challenge a couple of years ago, when Sam Cane was on the sideline and they had it and dropped it. And then, but now it's a Otago Canterbury final. And both those semis were actually relatively easy.
Straightforward, Bay of Plenty turned up for about the first 20 minutes, but Otago, this team is good. Like, real good, and it's surprising.
John, they've scored about 40-something points a game over the last 4 weeks. They're really hammering it at the moment.
Dylan Pledger and Cam Miller, I'm stoked for, their first 5, who had a pretty rough run during Super Rugby with the Highlanders. He's 23, 24 now, I think, and just this campaign is just going next level every game, which is so cool to see. I think 7 in a row now for Otago, first final since 98, and they play like that team of 98 who had that amazing backs, and they were so much fun to watch. So I'm stoked for them, and then Canterbury do what they do, right? That Hawke's Bay game. Hawke's Bay were throwing everything at them early, and Canterbury just swallowing it up, tackling them to death, turnover, go 80 metres and score. And that's just the way the All Blacks used to play. Remember that when we used to defend with death on our line
and then just attack, bang,
counter-attack and score, and that's scary. I mean, Otago won't fear anyone. They've won 7 in a row, but Canterbury are in that kind of form where they win a championship and plenty to play for with some departing players.
The great thing about the NPC, isn't it? This is what I love about it, is that it's not just the Super Rugby sides. And I know that Otago is a Super Rugby side in Canterbury, the Crusaders are. But this, when's the last time, as you say, Otago made it?
Yeah.
We've had Tasman there and Tasman winning. We've had Hawke's Bay. We've had Taranaki. We've had Wellington. So we've had it really spread about.
Haven't had Auckland, have we, Marty, for a while?
Well, and this is a real worry in this part of the world. The old saying used to be, when Auckland rugby is strong, New Zealand rugby is strong. Well, no, because, Auckland, North Harbour, counties managed to get into the top 8, scraped in there in the top 8, but that's a huge population part of New Zealand.
Mate, I've always told you, when South Island rugby's strong,
there you go.
The All Blacks are strong. So this will be a hell of a day, and it is earlier kickoff, I think, Saturday in Christchurch around 4:30. So they kind of listened to us from last week. Bit of daytime rugby in Canterbury with a northwester or something. A nice warm day would be nice, wouldn't it? And these games are great. My favourite game I've ever been to in my life was that 94 Shield Challenge, Canterbury-Otago. It's just special things
happen. That was
happen.
the David Latter challenge.
It was,
Okay,
It was actually Richard Lowe's hand, but David Latter got pinged and Mertz kicked the penalty and the Shield stayed. So I love this rivalry. I reckon it'll be an absolute cracker.
DSPN.